Hello, everyone. Greetings from a very warm London, United Kingdom. I hope you're all doing well. Our paper focuses on the use of guilt in cause marketing adverts. Cause marketing, as many of you know, that it's a very popular marketing strategy in which a brand supports a social cause, such as poverty alleviation, environmental issues, child hunger alleviation, or health-related issues. So the brand can gain from achieving stronger brand image and creating competitive advantage when they're supporting a social cause. And the social cause gains from publicity and increased funding. So it's a win-win situation strategy for both the parties. Now, cause brand tends to aims to benefit from guilt appeals in advertising. And these guilt appeals are used as a persuasion tool to influence perceptions and attitudes of consumers. So this is the background. Invoking guilt is not a new thing in advertising. It's a fundamental emotion, and advertisers have used it for a very long time. But what we don't know is what is the impact of the intensity. So because guilt appeals can vary in intensity, that could be very high emotive intensity guilt appeals as compared to the lower guilt appeal, lower intensity guilt appeals. So the question that we are asking, and this has not been looked at before our paper in cause marketing, that what is the impact of whether the different levels of appeal intensity might have different impact on corporate image and purchase intentions. So this is our conceptual model. We measure the impact of high versus low guilt appeal intensity in cause marketing adverts. And the mediator in our model is the consumer company identification at the top, is based on social identity theory, which is about how we relate to our in-group versus out-group identifications. The one at the bottom, inferred motive, is based on attribution theory, which relates to consumers attributing a cause to the events around them. So in our context, it means whether consumers attribute a genuine motive to the cause marketing advert or not. Methodologically, we conducted an experiment. We created adverts with high and low appeal intensity in cause marketing. And we tested our model across two social causes and 3 sectors for generalizability purposes. And we asked questions about guilt, motives, consumer company identification, corporate image, and purchase intentions. We did pre-test, and all the benchmarks were achieved in our pre-test and manipulation checks. Here is a summary of our findings. What we found in a nutshell, that high intensity guilt appeals do not achieve a favorable response. The motives of the advertiser are considered less genuine than in low intensity appeals. We speculate that this could be a result of persuasion knowledge being activated, which is a well-known, well-established theory in social psychology, which suggests that we are resisting any attempts to persuade us in advertising. So whenever we see an advert, our initial reaction is that subconsciously is that we are being persuaded to towards a goal. So consumers see high intensity appeal as being persuasive, and they tend to reject such appeals. So high intensity appeals can also lower consumers' identification with the brand and in turn be detrimental to its image. So that's what we found in a nutshell. And now I'm going to talk about what can advertisers do, what should the brands do, what are the applications for our findings. So what we suggest is to attune or the brand should use low appeal intensity in CRM adverts for desirable outcomes. So emotionally charged, highly intense guilt appeals, such as, for example, showing malnourished children, and emotive taglines such as, just $3 can change a life, are not effective. Instead, shorter and instead softer and empowering storytelling and testimonials can portray a genuine image of the brands and its support to the social cause. Sorry, it seems. Okay. Can you still see my slides? Moving on.
Yes, we can, Jay. They look fine.
Moving on, what should the brands do? The second application that we have for the advertising world is that the message should communicate brands' genuine motives. So the brand should be seen as genuine in supporting a social cause. So we've seen that in the recent times as well, that often the brands would jump on a popular bandwagon just to be part of the conversation. And such campaigns can backfire. We have the famous example of the Pepsi campaign, which joined the Black Lives Matter movement some years ago, and it was a big failure. So genuine concern in societal welfare with a track record, which can be verified, can diminish perceptions of inferred ulterior motives by the consumers. That's the second application. The third application is slightly a vexed issue. It's about the compatibility or the fit between the cause and the brands. So essentially what it means to be on the safer side, the brands from a food brand, for example, should be supporting a cause that is similar to their sector. So if a food brand is supporting social cause relating to hunger alleviation, for example, instead of a cause relating to societal injustice, the former will be more successful. That's the sort of received wisdom. However, sometimes we also see that if the brand is very clearly communicating its social purpose motive in its original values system, and then they are supporting an unrelated social cause, then that's okay as well, because consumers see the brand fit. A very famous example, well-known example, is that of Ben & Jerry's, who have been traditionally known to the ice cream brand to support causes relating to societal injustice, and that's kind of very successful because it fits the brand image with the social cause. And finally, the brand should be realistic about the outcomes of a cause marketing campaign. So for example, if a technology brand supports a social cause, they're expecting high consumer brand identification, which was one of the concepts in our model, would be unrealistic. So instead here, the goal could be publicity and in turn, positive customer attitudes in the long term can be achieved. So if the brand is pre-testing these things before launching the cause marketing campaign and sort of addressing these issues, then it's more likely to be successful. And here is a summary of our findings. So we contend that persuasion knowledge is the main psychological process in consumer response to cause marketing advertising. And that's the kind of key thing that also filters into the applications part of how to reduce this persuasion knowledge and also the inferred ulterior motive of CRM advertising. So pre-testing is the key thing here. And finally, our take on future research, obviously there is much more needs to be looked at. We looked at, there are three types of forms of guilt: existential, anticipatory, and reactive. We only looked at the existential type of form of guilt. So we can, in a future study, compare the three types, how they influence corporate image and cause marketing adverts. So we can also examine how message framing works in CRM ad campaigns. So what kind of message would be more effective? in terms of the wording and the explication of the meaning that is being communicated can be tested. And finally, we can also test for usage bias. So how guilt appeals can vary between the users of the brands and the versus the non-users, as well as between the well-known versus lesser-known adverts. That is our research. So any questions? Thank you so much.